Welcome to ManoMotion tutorial series. In this video, we're going to show you how to use hand tracking and gestures so you can replace the mouse interaction. As a simple concept, we will be interacting with a spinning cube. In fact, we will be changing its color when we perform a click trigger gesture. This interaction concept will be deployed on your phone as an app, so you can try it out anytime you want and also show it to your friends. Make sure to watch the video until the very end, as we're going to propose a mini challenge on this project. I'm still inside the project that we used in the features video. I intend to keep some of the key game objects we offer to save me some development time. In fact, I'm going to duplicate the feature scene that we used in the previous tutorial and rename it to something appropriate, like cube interaction. A quick notice before we proceed. If you haven't watched the previous video of how to deploy the SDK Lite, I highly recommend to pause this video and go watch that one first. Great! As I mentioned, I've kept some of the key game objects in my scene, and this is why. ManoMotion Manager is the main script that uses our core tech and allows the interpretation of gestures at real time. It needs some RGB input to process, so by default we have included an input manager on the same prefab. It is going to open the phone's camera and provide the frames to be processed. To make sure we get feedback on the status of the app, we're going to keep the ManoMotion canvas so it can alert us in real time. Finally, we're going to keep ManoVisualization and example gizmo canvas for illustration purposes. On the ManoVisualization script, I'm going to leave the show background boolean to true. I intend to use this app as an AR without SLAM. If in your case it's fully virtual, you can hide what the camera sees by just clicking on that button. Finally, on the example gizmo canvas, I went ahead and disabled all the children objects. And from the long list of gizmos, I've only left checked the option to show the click trigger gesture. It's gonna come in hand. Alright, with the ManoMotion components in place, I'll just create the cube we're going to interact with. I'm bringing in a primitive, and to make it better visible, I'll just put it 3 units far in Z and add some rotation to it. Next up, I'm going to attach a small script that will include the cube behavior. I'm going to provide all of the scripts in the description of this video so you can use them right away. If you open that script, you can see the simple code that showcases 3 things. Number 1, an initialization of the cube's components and behavior. Number 2, a fixed behavior of the cube to spin around. And number 3, a publicly available method that allows us to interact with the cube. This is the method we will be calling from our interaction script to communicate our intention to interact with the cube. With the cube behavior in place, now it's time to put our interaction intentions into an appropriate object. I'm going to create an empty game object and rename it to Interaction Manager. As with the cube, I'm going to attach the appropriate script that I have created for it and also share it with you. In this case, the script is called Interaction Manager and it's going to handle the click events. To make things easy to remember, I'm going to also provide a version of code that works with a mouse. Obviously, I'm also going to provide the version that uses hand gestures that we're going to be using in this tutorial. However, I would like you to notice the resemblance and ease of transporting your code from mouse events to hand gestures. The way the code works is by keeping track of the hand info through the static class of ManoMotion Manager. As the mouse click, we're interested in event-like information, so for this purpose, we'll be making use of trigger gestures. Trigger gestures are part of gesture information that occurs only for a split second. Once the hand takes some specific hand poses, it will set the trigger gesture of the hand info to the detected one, just for that frame. With this in mind, our code will ask the ManoMotion Manager if the trigger gesture of the hand in this frame is the click. When this argument is validated, we'll be asking the current interactable cube to interact. Before I wrap up this tutorial, I want to bring your attention to the Interaction Manager. For the manager to work, it needs to know what is the current interactable. In our example scene, we only had one cube, so we're declaring it manually. What would happen though if you had more than one cube to interact with? Which cube would be the chosen one and how? This is your creative challenge for this video. Check the find which cube should be the current interactable method and send us your answers via email. That was it for this tutorial. If you encountered any issue, feel free to contact us for support. As always, if you need any help or just want to show us something cool you have made with our tech, post it on our Discord channel or send it via email.